Nick, thank you so much for spending some time with us
Pleasure.
today. Obviously, we know each other a little bit. We placed you a good while ago now. So really looking forward to hearing what it is you've got to say about the porosity agenda. I think just to get us going, it'd be great if you can just give us an overview of your public and commercial experience, and also tell us a little bit about how we got to know each other and the appointment you're currently doing.
Background is in psychology, and I worked for many years at a company called the Transport Research Laboratory, TRL, and a lot of their work is for government, for the Department for Transport and for National Highways. I then had a couple of years with Bosch as the head of mobility R&D there. And after that, I was working as an independent, just as a solo consultant. And that's when we first met, which was around this opportunity with National Highways to join them as the Chief Road Safety Advisor, which I was very, very happy to secure.
And can you tell us a little bit about what that role entails? Because it's not quite a NED role, it's not quite on the exec, so it's relatively unique in nature.
Yeah, it's a new position for the organisation. So there's been a bit of shaping between us in how the role works. The main focus of the role is about how National Highways can achieve its ambitious goals around road safety. So it has a target for zero harm, that no one should be hurt whilst using the strategic road network. And I'm helping them with the plan about how that can be achieved. It's going to take a long time, as it is a very ambitious target. And there's lots of different entities and parts of the organisation that need to evolve to help meet that challenge. But we're setting out a plan, and I think we're taking really good steps to make progress towards that zero harm ambition.
Tell us a little bit about how you've successfully established a role that didn't previously exist in an organisation that's been around for a very long time.
I think a lot of that establishing the role, the skills I used in doing that came from my work at Bosch, actually. So people within National Highways think of it as a large organisation, and it is a large organisation, 6,000 employees. But Bosch is another beast altogether. It's 400,000. And when I was working there, you had to establish that network. You had to figure out how to get things done. You had to figure out who your allies were, what your internal network would be. And so figuring that out within National Highways, understanding the structure of the organisation, how it all works, how I can make things happen, was really, really important. And so, yeah, speaking to all the right people, speaking to all the directors, speaking to the non-execs, and just figuring out what my expectations are for the role and what their expectations are for the role, and getting those two things as aligned as possible.
What I particularly liked about your CV when we met is your ability to flex between public and commercial in your career today. And you mentioned Bosch a second ago. What motivated you to have that, I suppose, that positive porosity both into government and out of it? And what have you observed to be some of the main, I suppose, cultural differences, operational differences in working across the two?
The main challenges I've faced, I think, around the hierarchical nature of National Highways. People very much, you can tell people think very much in whether you're a level 5 or a level 6 or a 7. And me coming in as an external advisor, essentially outside of that hierarchy, has been quite challenging. But the senior team have been very helpful in making sure that my input sort of gets the right level of attention, the right support across the organisation. So that's been really, really good. And then, in terms of my previous roles and what attracted me to work at National Highways, it's really, road safety has been a passion throughout my career. And National Highways is such an important organisation in how road transport is achieved across the country. Helping them to achieve this road safety ambition is, I think, one of the best ways I can have impact in the thing about which I'm most passionate.
In coming into this role, and it is a unique role, do you think your expectations were managed? Was there anything that surprised you in particular when you moved into this role?
The expectations around the role, because it was a new role, were high, because the role had been created for a reason. I think in a large civil service organisation, there is that perception of inertia, that it's hard to get things to change.
Yeah.
And I do encounter that to some degree. But what's been really impressive is the way the senior team are pushing to change that agenda and challenge that perception. Of course, that takes time to to gain traction. But with that level of ambition, with that level of support, things can really change, and it's really exciting to see some of that starting to happen.
When you reflect on, I suppose, the commercial years in particular, what elements of your experience do you feel have translated particularly well and been the most useful? And then conversely, what hasn't landed quite so well, and how have you had to adapt?
I think the thing that has landed well is that building the internal networks, and really the kind of attitude of trying things out. Let's give something a go, see if we can make it happen. The challenge I faced in doing that is one around procurement. So in a public sector organization, you have all those rules around procurement, which are there for very good reasons, but they can make it difficult to try new things quickly. So I suppose trying to find the ways and again, build on others' experiences within National Highways about how to navigate that environment has been really, really important in making progress as quickly as possible.
One of the things we talk to candidates, people moving into government all the time, is the impact that the political overlay has on a leadership role, both in terms of decision making, governance. And we always talk about, absolutely, you're there to do strategy, but it's within a framework as well. How's that affected you in your position?
Yeah, so you can imagine in the road safety role, we're thinking about lots of different ways in which you might change the way roads work to improve safety, reduce risk for the users of the network. Some of those things will be more politically palatable than others. So we have to be ready to kind of adapt and compromise our plans around what is genuinely achievable, what will actually land well with the likes of the Department for Transport, with the regulator, the Office of Road and Rail, and with Transport Focus, taking the views of the public into account. So yeah, I guess just making sure, we can look at all the research, we can look at all the evidence around what measures might actually work, but we have to also take into account that political angle and make sure we're doing things that will actually land well and can truly be delivered successfully. Obviously,
National Highways is an agency, and therefore you have the added nuance of a department, that agency department dynamic. How does that impact on the activities of the agency and your role as well?
On the road safety side, I mean, the aims are shared, and in a lot of ways, I think the department looks to National Highways to innovate and to lead in terms of things that it wants to try around road safety. At the same time, all the while, making sure we're doing things that are politically palatable. So yeah, I think there's a good relationship there. We're supported by a good ministerial team. Of course, there have been some changes over the last few years, and you have to kind of navigate that. That goes with the territory, doesn't it, of that kind of political engagement sometimes. But no, we continue to work well with the department and keep them informed and make sure they're on board with our plans. This is absolutely critical that we're sharing our plans for road safety with them and making sure we're aligned on that long-term vision around zero harm, which there is really good alignment. What
do you think the civil service can learn from people from the commercial world and commercial entities, and vice versa? Because I think there's best practice to be shared in both directions.
Yeah, I think what the public sector can learn from the commercial world is that speed of innovation and that willingness to take risks. Of course, it's difficult when you're responsible for public money. But in the commercial world, you might try 7 things, and if 3 of them are a success, you've done brilliantly. Whereas if one thing fails in the public sector, it can seem like a disaster. So making sure that there is that ability to innovate and to try things and learn fast, I think would be an area where the public sector can learn. On the flip side, what I've been really impressed by in National Highways is the passion for the topic around road safety. Everyone is really committed, both in terms of road safety and the environment, the sustainability angle as well. People are really keen for the changes to go in the right direction as quickly as possible. But also the flexibility around the way people deliver their roles in the organisation. There's really inclusive, really flexible working practices that I've been really impressed by, and really good to see.
That's fantastic. Lovely. And then finally, Nick, what advice would you give to someone considering a move into government?
I think for me, it's been amazing to be able to have that nationwide impact in a topic about which I'm really passionate. Now, not everyone will share that passion for road safety, but it might be the environment. So with DEFRA, it might be in defence through the MOD, it might be in any number of departments, health. I think being able to bring different experiences, different perspectives into those departments and add to and have impact in those domains is a really great opportunity, and it's one I'm really glad I've taken.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and it's good to catch up in general and hear that things are going so well. Thanks,
My
Nick.
pleasure, Becky. Good to speak to you.
Thanks.